Hello everyone, happy Friday and welcome to Wrestlers of the Week. Of course, my favourite time of the week. I am Jack from Cultaholic.com and let me tell you, apart from WrestleMania weekend probably, this has been the most difficult week to rank in Wrestlers of the Week history. It's week 21 and not yet have we had a week quite this difficult apart from WrestleMania weekend, obviously. That was always going to be the most difficult one, but this one, there's been so much stuff popping off all over the place, like landmines going off. What a weird simile that was. We've had Best of the Super Juniors over in New Japan, we've had excellent matches over in Evolve, WXW, OTT in Ireland. We've had some great matches in Rev Pro, we've had some great it's honestly been hard to keep track of. There's been so much good wrestling all over the place. Maybe not in WWE as much this week. I feel uncomfortable saying that because it was a strong episode of NXT. And there's been some alright matches, like Daniel Bryan and Jeff Hardy had a good match, for example, on SmackDown. Honourable mentions for them, but by and large, the indies have blown WWE away this week. But don't fear, I mean, WWE have more than enough big pay-per-views and stuff, but this week's just been indie central. I'm so smarky. I feel like I'm 15 again, it's brilliant. 15 wasn't that brilliant a time for me. Number 10, a newcomer to the list. Let's head over to Ireland. Oh yeah, right there fellas. Gonna do my Irish accent for this whole thing. Gee, that is not something that I'm gonna do for the whole thing. Number 10 is Jordan Devlin. Now Jordan Devlin is the OTT heavyweight champion. OTT is the biggest wrestling promotion in Ireland right now. And Jordan Devlin is like their flag bearer, their ace. He's the ace of OTT. You may be familiar with Jordan Devlin if you watched last year's UK Championship tournament, where he was, just a mean, vicious heel, as he is in most promotions that he goes to. He was I remember people online calling him Twin Balor because he looks a bit like Finn Balor, looks a lot like Finn Balor, and was trained by him as well. But no, in OTT, he's a big babyface and he calls himself the import killer. So basically, foreign wrestlers come in, he's the big Irish hero, and without being overly smiley, babyface happy, he's still very intense and a bit of a bastard. That was Northern Irish accent. Being a bit of a bastard, he still manages to get the crowd behind him and usually does, defeat the import. And he had a very good match this week against my man, Zack Sabre Jr. But yes, this was a very good match. Not the best match on the show, which we'll get to in due course. However, it was the main event, the big title match, Devlin versus Zack Sabre Jr. And Devlin retained out of nowhere with a package pile driver. Obviously, if you've watched either man wrestle, the submission game was absolutely on point, the technical stuff was on point, and also the hard-hitting stuff as well. Just a general, very good all-round match. And in any other week, we'd probably have seen these two land much higher on the list, but it's been a special week, lads. A special week. Number 9, my old mate, another newcomer to the list. My old mate, literally met him about once or twice. El Desperado, a member of the Suzuki Gun faction over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's the masked one. You can see, oh, he's so cool. Look at that. How cool is that? He looks like the Masked Magician. Did anyone used to watch that on Channel 5, I think, in the UK? Bit of a niche reference for people of a certain age, but if you get it, there'll be like 5 people watching this video going, oh, Masked Magician reference. He unmasked as well. It was heartbreaking. But yes, Desperado, in my experience with him, is a bit of a joker, bit of a fun-loving guy, but at the same time, when he's in character, when he's got the mask on, he carries that sense of fun-loving, just turns it into mischief. He's just very mischievous, bit of a dastardly heel, and he was really coming into his own on Best of the Super Juniors this week. The best match he had was it was like a hardcore match. It was like a no DQ match, but it wasn't. So it was against Hiromu Takahashi, my pick to win the tournament. And the pair, just tore into each other with weapons quite a lot, and the referee sort of had to let a lot of stuff go. The smark in me was furious. I was like, doesn't make sense. I want my wrestling to be logical. And I almost didn't include Desperado on the list because of that. I almost included Skrull, who had some good matches, or Kushida instead, but it was too good. It was too entertaining. It was a real guilty pleasure of a match, this one. Even though it made no sense at times, and even though it should have been thrown out about 4 times due to rule breaking, it was so entertaining. Watch this match if you've got New Japan World. It was so much fun. And I can't wait to see what Desperado does next. He is genuinely one of the most underrated men on the New Japan roster. And yeah, just a fun-loving, just a great guy. I can't remember what his face looks like. I've seen it though. Can't remember what he looks like. I could have walked past him on my way to the office. I wouldn't have known. Number 8, another newcomer to the list. The third one in a row, picking up 3 points. His name is Dragon Lee. Now, the excellent thing about Best of the Super Juniors, apart from all the great high-flying action and that sort of thing, and the excitement of tournaments, don't you love a tournament in wrestling? I love it. I love stats and figures. That's why I started this video series, so I can update my little spreadsheet. Oh, it's a lonely existence. The good thing, let's get serious, about Best of the Super Juniors is that it often throws together random pairings that you think, oh, they might have an okay match, and then they go out and just have this amazing chemistry somehow, this natural chemistry, and just kill it. That's what Dragon Lee did this week against Sho, capital letters I've got to shout it, formerly known as Sho Tanaka of Roppongi 3K. Bit of background on Dragon Lee, if you don't know too much about who he is kind of similar to Hiromu Takahashi in that he built his career over in Mexico. He's a masked wrestler, always cool. What a weird criteria that is. Masked wrestler. Let's bump him up to 1 on the list. He's wrestler of the... No. He's got a mask on. I've totally lost my train of thought. He's like Takahashi and is also Takahashi's nemesis. He's the babyface hero to Takahashi's crazy, unhinged heel. But yes, his match wasn't against Takahashi yet. That'll be a barn burner when it does happen later in the tournament. This was against Sho, and it was a really, really nice blend of high-flying action, typical of Best of the Super Juniors, and great technical ability as well. Sho is not the most experienced wrestler in the world, but he looked it here. A bit of an exaggeration. He looked like the most experienced wrestler in the world. He and Dragon Lee exchanged armbar sequences. It was like Ronda and Stephanie. I was about to say it was like Ronda and Stephanie but better, but Ronda and Stephanie was legitimately excellent. Dragon Lee is the Ronda Rousey of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Welcome to the list on that note, Mr. Rousey. Number 7, a man I've seen perform live at 2 wrestling shows, I believe, in the UK, and a man who makes his entrance to Ain't Nobody Loves Me Better. What a banger of a tune, first of all, to choose for your entrance music. Obviously, he can't use that on shows that are broadcast, but still. Shane Strickland. Good song choice, man. Now, whenever I've experienced Shane Strickland, he's been a babyface. He dances down to the ring. Everyone loves him. He looks fantastic, looks really cool. But my girlfriend really likes him. Wait. But this week he had a match in Evolve, where in Evolve he is maybe the number 1 heel, certainly getting up there. He's one of the big bad guys over in Evolve, and he had a match against Matt Riddle. The booking was a little bit complicated here. Let me walk you through it step by step. Don't worry, come on this journey with me. I'm now trying to be cool like Shane Strickland because I'm jealous of him. And that's not good, is it? The match was a no rope breaks non-title match. That sounds really convoluted. Basically, Matt Riddle is the Evolve champion, Strickland's his big nemesis. They were going to have a match, and the whole point of it was no rope breaks, they can really go to town on each other. Strickland was smarter than everybody, recognised that it's a no DQ match, and after a fantastic back and forth, brutal match, just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna try and win. It's no DQ. I mean, it's no rope breaks. It's not for the title. I'm just going to keep submissions on in the rope breaks. At the end of the match, he was DQ'd for sliding a chair around Riddle's arm and Pillmanizing him, jumping off the ropes, stomping on the chair, and really injuring Riddle's arm. And brilliantly, well done Evolve for this. They had a double header of shows, and the next night, the injury played into Riddle's next match. Wonderful stuff. I can see why Triple H loves Evolve. They seem lovely and brilliant. Number 6, Sho Tanaka, the man formerly known as Sho Tanaka of Roppongi 3K. Again, I'll provide some background if you're not too familiar with Sho. He and Yohei Komatsu, the other member of Roppongi 3K, both went on excursion from New Japan. They were young lions. They went out to get some experience over in Ring of Honor, where they became a tag team and really gained a lot of popularity and also in-ring experience over there. They developed into a really nice tag team, came back to New Japan recently as Roppongi 3K, and have just been on a tear since. They've won the junior heavyweight tag team titles. The crowd love them, they get behind them. They're just good, solid baby faces. But how would they fare in singles action? That's been sort of answered so far in Best of the Super Juniors. Now, conventional opinion sort of dictates that Yo is the more well-rounded wrestler of the two, but Sho's, his performances in the tournament so far have really made that unclear. Like, he's improved a lot just since returning to New Japan over the past year or two. He's been absolutely fantastic, and was especially in his 2 matches against, the previous one I just talked about against Dragon Lee, and also a match against my boy, Chris Sabin. I'm not a cool person. So yes, Sho had 2 wonderful matches. I've already talked about the Dragon Lee one. The Chris Sabin match wasn't quite as good, but still very good indeed. And if anybody has raised their stock in this Best of the Super Juniors tournament so far, it's 2 people. It's Taiji Ishimori, who should have got an honourable mention this week for his match against Ospreay, and also Sho Tanaka. Everyone is looking at Sho now thinking, are you the weak link? Are you the Jannetty of Roppongi 3K? Or are you the Michaels? Are they both Michaels? As we speak, as this video is being recorded, Ospreay is currently having a match with Yohei Komatsu. That could blow the roof off. That's one for next week on Wrestlers of the Week. Number 5, don't hate me, it's Zack Sabre Jr. I don't want to dwell on this for too long because, you know, I talk about Zack Sabre Jr. a lot of weeks. He probably makes it onto about half of every Wrestlers of the Week because he's so consistent. Travels around the world, has brilliant matches wherever he goes, never really slackens his grip on the wrestling world right now, does he? Also, he's made onto this, you know, this series a lot because he's been pushed in a lot of promotions. New Japan decided to push him, Progress are currently pushing him again. So it's hard to leave him off, guys. What am I meant to do? Zack had 2 really good matches this week, 2 really good marquee matches, or at least they became available on demand this week. One in WXW against Volta. They're 2 such well-matched opponents. Volta's all big and burly, Zack's all skinny and submission-based, really good stuff. And he also had that match against Jordan Devlin that I talked about at the start of the video. So well done, Zack. Some more points for you, you know, well done. Everyone's going to hate me, but let's just get to the next person. I'm so sorry. Number 4, my boy, my pick for Best of the Super Juniors, Hiromu Takahashi. He had 2 excellent matches so far in Best of the Super Juniors. One against El Desperado, I've already talked about, that weird kind of hardcore match. The one that made my smark blood boil, but my mark blood flow. His other match was against the villain, Marty Scurll. Scurll's an honourable mention as well on this list. There's so many guys who could have made it. Scurll had 2 great matches against Kushida and Takahashi, but Takahashi and Scurll was an underrated submission-based classic, I think. Takahashi picked up the victory by submitting Marty Scurll. You don't see that very often, do you? I don't think you see that very often at all. So great stuff for Takahashi, but I should mention that he lost the match to Desperado, so my prediction of him winning the tournament is in a little bit of jeopardy. I'm still confident. You can do it, Hiromu. You're my favourite. Number 3, Sam's boy, Keith Lee. The man of the hour, the king of the ring. Intelligence and power, yeah, Keith Lee. Since the, do you remember the Tanahashi thing I did, the paparazzi thing 2 weeks ago, I really tried to incorporate songs too much into Wrestlers of the Week, and I'm just gonna let it come naturally next time because I'm forcing it slightly. Keith Lee is in the midst of his sort of farewell to the indie scene tour before he heads to WWE, and he had 2 wonderful matches this week. One was against Minoru Suzuki, another honourable mention, in Rev Pro in England, where they just battered each other, as you'd imagine. They're both really hard men, and what are you going to do when neither one can budge the other one because they're both really hard? Guess that's sort of the foundation of professional wrestling, really. Keith's other match was over in Evolve on that second night of the doubleheader against Matt Riddle, who of course had his arm wrecked by Shane Strickland. Now this is a sleeper hit for Match of the Year. It's a bona fide Match of the Year candidate. Both men went absolutely all out. The only thing kind of dragging it down a little tiny bit in my opinion is the fact that the winner was so obvious. It wasn't going to be Keith Lee. He's on his way out of the independent scene. So Matt Riddle winning was always a foregone conclusion, but they did their best with the booking of his arm to make it look a little bit unlikely. This match was also kind of like a PWG match. They were being a little bit silly in terms of kicking out of moves at 1 and stuff, but I'm not too much a fan of that usually, but in the right circumstances it really adds to a match, and I think this was the perfect time for that sort of fighting spirit behaviour to happen. So obviously Keith Lee lost the match. He was sat in the ring all sad, everyone was waving goodbye. It was very emotional indeed. I cannot wait for him to debut in NXT. He could be, if they book him right, a future WWE champion, and I want it so badly. Come on, Keith, the man of the hour. Number 2, Will Ospreay. Him and Zack are going toe-to-toe at the top of this league table, but as we'll see when we look at the end of the video, they're not pulling away from the pack quite as much as they maybe would have liked to. Ospreay had 3 excellent matches this week. He had a match that I'm going to talk about in a second. I won't say who his opponent was because it's my number 1 wrestler of the week. He also had 2 very good Best of the Super Junior matches against ACH and against Taiji Ishimori, his big rival at the moment, the newest member of Bullet Club. I don't know what more there is to say about Ospreay because, he's just consistently excellent, but I will say that a common criticism of Ospreay is obviously that his spots never really change. They're big, impressive spots, but when he hits them in every match, it gets a little bit predictable, maybe a little bit stale. And this week, especially, as if to prove a point to his critics, he really freshened up the context of each match, and even though he didn't change the spots themselves, they sort of came out of nowhere, so kept everything fresh, kept everything exciting. So well done, Ospreay. 9 points to you. He's on a roll. No one can stop him. When the G1 Climax rolls round, he may well be stopped. By the way, I'm not an idiot. Sorry, just realised there. Made it sound like I think he's going to be in the G1 Climax and lose. I know he's not in the G1 Climax. I mean, in the context of this series, this video series, he could really get caught up on by people in the G1 Climax. Cheers, thanks for that. I just thought I'd clarify before the comments are all like, Ospreay's not a heavyweight, Jack. What? Have you lost your mind? And finally, my Wrestler of the Week, and a man who's appeared on this list quite a lot, but has never been Wrestler of the Week as far as I know, Matt Riddle. So, like Ospreay, Riddle had 3 excellent matches this week. 1 against Keith Lee in Evolve, 1 against Shane Strickland in Evolve, and 1 against Will Ospreay in OTT in Ireland, the show that Devlin and Zack Sabre Jr. main evented. But this match was the best match of the show, and a match of the year candidate in my humble opinion. I've actually written about this match in a bit more detail on the website. That should be up now, cultaholic.com. You can check out my thoughts in detail, but basically I'll just give you the rundown. Ospreay has had 2 singles matches against Riddle in his career, lost both of them. One was almost a squash in progress, a shockingly short victory for Matt Riddle. One was over WrestleMania weekend where Riddle beat him in another match of the year candidate. This match I think was the best of the 3, not just because it was Ospreay's redemption story, but in the way that he went about trying to beat Riddle. He knew that his standard sort of high-flying offense didn't really work on Riddle. He'd never really been able to beat him before, so he fought fire with fire. He was getting in his head, challenging him to strike-offs. He would, run across the ring and just boot him in the face. Not very Ospreay offense. It was more of a brawl interspersed with Ospreay's typical high spots, excuse me. Needless to say, Riddle in this match was unbelievable. The best spot came when Ospreay was making his comeback and Riddle cut him off. So Riddle ran at Ospreay. Ospreay put one foot in his chest and backflipped off like a cartoon and then just nailed him. Riddle was dazed and then he came back, but he kneed Ospreay in the face, powerbombed him into the canvas, and then Ospreay tried to do one of his flips to escape and Riddle just went, no, and just kneed his face off, and Ospreay sold it, like, as been pointed out online, like Shinsuke Nakamura doing his rope taunt. He just sort of flopped slowly to the canvas. It was amazing. Ultimately, Riddle lost the match after Ospreay caught him in his Stormbreaker, his new finisher, but Riddle is my rest of the week. He's had 3 excellent matches, 2 of which can legitimately be considered match of the year candidates in 1 week. I can't give rest of the week to anyone else. So if we take a look at the league table, you'll see that Will Ospreay has reclaimed the lead from Zack Sabre Jr. by just 1 point, but Matt Riddle is catching up fast and is now firmly established in 3rd place. Keith Lee has also leapfrogged several people into the top 10, and remember, this is far from a foregone conclusion yet. There's the rest of Best of the Super Juniors, and Ospreay is certainly not the only standout in that tournament, and also, as I mentioned, the G1 as well, which is great for Okada, Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and all those lovely guys in the heavyweight division. And maybe, with the NXT things coming up, WWE can really start to get some more points on the board, because this week they were lagging slightly. So that's it for this week on Wrestlers of the Week. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter at JackTheJobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic and check out our Patreon as well, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, to join us.